Hello aspirants, welcome to Mohan Reddy Academy. So we are going to start another batch for anthropology. So those aspirants who are preparing for UPSC and whose optional is anthropology, so kindly this video is for you. So in this video, let us understand what is anthropology. So why it is called as gateway to UPSC, what are the benefits of taking this anthropology as your optional. So let us try to understand all these concepts in this class. So before that, let us understand the scheme of the examination. If you are talking about the scheme of the examination, so we have paper A, paper B. So this is about the Indian language which is qualifying, and then we see the paper B. Once again it is English, which is also qualifying in nature. So this is a compulsory, and this is for so some people who doesn't have script. So especially some tribes who doesn't have script, they can skip that particular paper, that is paper A. And then it starts with essay. So essay, and then we see paper number 5, that is general studies, that is ethics, integrity and aptitude, and then comes our optional subject paper 1 and optional subject paper 2. These are the scoring. If you want to score, if you want your name to be in the final list of the examination, so essay and then the ethics, integrity and aptitude, this paper, and additionally optional subject. Okay, so these are the 3 important things which will give you better edge, and I am not saying to ignore the other papers, so they are equally important as well. So and then if you are talking about anthropology, right now anthropology is one of the happening subject. Why anthropology is considered as one of the happening subject? Because this particular discipline is not yet established in our country in a manner where other disciplines are already established. This is one such reason. Even though our syllabus is little elaborated, but we can see the questions which constantly get repeated. Okay, so but for the past 2 years we are seeing there is some change how the questions are asked in the examination. So whatever the examination pattern it is, even the questions are whether static or dynamic, yet you can actually clear this examination. You can score till 300 plus, and there are also a lot of aspirants who has already scored 300 plus in our particular optional. So why choose anthropology? So these are some common questions why I usually hear from our aspirants. So they keep on asking, my ma'am, why we have to choose anthropology? Okay, what are the reasons behind it? So if this is your question, so these are the answers, because it is well structured syllabus. It can be completed in 4 to 5 months. So even though you are very naive or novice to this particular subject, yet you can actually complete this subject with 4 to 5 months, provided you get the proper guidance and teaching, and then it engages the subject that captures students' interest. So we see the particular chapters in anthropology. For an example, marriage, family, kinship, religion, political organization, economic organization, and even the physical anthropology. There are so many things which keep you interested. Okay, so that is the beauty of this particular subject, and it is high scoring potential. It has very high scoring potential. You can score up to 300 plus. So provided you have to complete the syllabus within 4 to 5 months, and then you have to give minimum of revisions, minimum 2 to 3 revisions are required, and then answer writing practice. Answer writing practice is extremely important. If you fail in giving this answer writing practice, then forget about getting into the service. So answer writing is extremely important, and it is more static and less dynamic in nature. There are some dynamic concepts in anthropology. We can't completely ignore the fact that anthropology is not at all dynamic. So we can't ignore that fact. Yes, anthropology is more static and less dynamic. So the dynamic parts being the archaeological anthropology. So archaeological anthropology is dynamic, and even in socio-cultural anthropology also. So recently there is some news that is Haki-Piki tribe. There they have observed this polyandry, that is polyandry, that too fraternal polyandry. We will try to understand each and every concept as we progress in our lecture. These are some concepts which are dynamic, and the tribal anthropology is dynamic. And apart from that, archaeological anthropology is also dynamic. Okay, so but the dynamicness of the subject actually zeroes down to very less level when you compare it with the other subjects, and then it is significant and it overlaps with many general study syllabus. Okay, so with what all the topics it overlaps, as we progress in the lecture, then let us actually understand. And it is availability of good guidance. So guidance actually matters a lot. and finally beneficial for the interview stage. So these are some important things which are present in anthropology, which makes this very unique compared to the other disciplines in our UPSC optional subjects. And now let us understand, is anthropology a scoring optional subject or not? Is anthropology scoring or not? To answer this question, we have to proceed further. So performance of the optional, let us see whether the optional is performing properly or not. Okay, so let us focus on the performance of the optional. What is the success rates? Who are the top rankers who has chosen this anthropology? So what are the ranks they have achieved? So let us actually discuss about it. Okay, so can you see here All India rank 110, All India rank 70, All India rank 1 Shubham Kumar, All India rank 45, All India rank 2 Akshat Jain, All India rank 7, All India rank 1 Arundeep Durishetty, Sachin Gupta, All India rank 3. So we see the Nidhi Pai, Narayan, Amit, Lakshmi, Nagappan, Akshat Jain, Ayush Sinha, Anudeep Durishetty, Sachin Gupta. Just look at their marks and look at the years, corresponding years. So we see 2017, 2018, 2020, 2021, 2022 straight away. Okay, so in the continuous consecutive years, you see the anthropology success rate and their scoring is more than 300 plus. All of their scoring is more than 300 plus. See, she has scored, Lakshmi Nagpan has scored 362. इज़ अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट स्कोर. 362 माने बहुत ज़्यादा हाइएस्ट स्कोर है. 320, 306 and next we say 325. That itself proves that why anthropology is so scoring and why it is one of the happening subject of the UPSC optional. And why is it so important? How important is one's background in choosing an optional subject? So background से कुछ मतलब होती है क्या? क्योंकि lot of students keep on asking me this question, saying that ma'am, anthropology mein there is one component, that component is called as physical anthropology. Apart from physical anthropology, we also see socio-cultural anthropology, we have archaeological anthropology is present, and then we have tribal anthropology is present, and then we see Indian anthropology. So ये सब भी है, but lot of students are worried about this physical anthropology. But what you need to understand is the physical anthropology restricts to only paper number 1. पेपर 1 में ही फिजिकल एंथ्रोपोलॉजी आप पढ़ेंगे. पेपर 2 में फिजिकल एंथ्रोपोलॉजी है क्या? नहीं है. Okay, what is the scope? What is the weightage of physical anthropology? So rest of the all are there. So there is social cultural anthropology, archaeological anthropology, tribal is there, Indian anthropology is there, and then physical anthropology is also there. So if you're talking about physical anthropology, it is not like that you are studying some medical, you are not like a medico who are diving deep into the subject and going to perform some surgeries or something like that. Nothing at all. Okay, it always gets restricted to plus 2 12 level. plus 2 10th के बाद plus 1 and plus 2 आप पढ़ चुके होंगे. Okay, it restricts to that level only. So any aspirants, so those aspirants who has this interest in social sciences, they can choose this. Any science background, they can also choose that. If you are a lover of scientific concept, you can choose it. If you are a lover of a society, you can choose it. If you love culture of our country, you want to understand the society of our country, this subject is perfect match for you. Okay, so anyone can adopt this subject. It's not like that only those people who has this background, only those aspirants who has this background of science, only they can choose. ये सब बहुत बड़ा myth है. And how graduation is different from optional. Let us see. Anudeep Durishetty, so he is an IAS. Okay, so इनका background क्या है? So he has scored All India rank 1 in 2017. So he is BTech in electronics. ये बंदा he comes from the BTech background. And then we see UPSC rank, All India rank 3. Okay, her name is Uma Harita. She is also a BTech aspirant. And then we see Ananya Reddy. Okay, she is a BA honors in geography and she has scored All India rank 3. So what about these people? So there is no a perfect thing that in graduation you have to definitely choose science background as such, and then only you will score this subject. So that is completely a myth. And now let us understand whether this subject is overlapping with the other general studies topics or not. Okay, so if you are comparing anthropology optional with GS1, so GS1 में आप पढ़ेंगे प्री हिस्ट्री. सो आर्कोलॉजिकल एंथ्रोपोलॉजी में भी आप पढ़ेंगे प्री हिस्ट्री. इन एंथ्रोपोलॉजी पेपर 1 and paper 2 में भी there are some topics which talks about archaeological anthropology. ओके, प्री हिस्ट्री के बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे. वी स्टडी अबाउट पैलियोलिथिक, Mesolithic, Neolithic, Chalcolithic, and apart from that we also study about Indus Valley civilization, which is actually a misnomer. IVC को IVC ही नहीं बुलाना चाहिए. It has to be referred as Harappan civilization. Okay, all of these things we will actually study, but we won't study with the complete concept of GS1. But yes, there is some overlap between these subjects. And the Indian society. So Indian society में you have this marriage, family, kinship, culture, society. We study about all these things in our subjects. And then in Indian society you will also study about the tribal profile. We also study about the tribal profile in anthropology, and then you see the social justice. So these are all some overlapping topics in the GS1. And now let us understand whether the anthropology topics overlaps with GS2 topic or not. Okay, there are few topics in polity and governance. When you are talking about the vulnerable sections in our country, when you are talking about the minorities, so we also refer some articles which are present in the constitution. We also refer about some schemes which are proposed for them. We also refer about certain policies which are formulated for them. So it overlaps with polity and governance topic. And if you are talking about the GS3, internal security, ethnic movements. So we study about the various ethnic movements which happened in our country, like the Khalistani movement, like the Greater Nagalim, and then the Dravida Nadu, which has happened once upon a time in our country. We study about the various ethnic movements, what has happened in Jammu and Kashmir. इन सारे ethnic movements के बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे. Okay, and if you are talking about the science and technology, biology component, so physical anthropology में आप जो भी पढ़ेंगे that is relevant even to science and technology also. And now let us understand about GS4, ethical dilemmas like the tribal rights versus tribal development, tribal rehabilitation and land alienation. So all these topics are covered under the tribal anthropology. This is how our syllabus overlaps with the various GS topics. And now let us understand the so civils academy optional. So how the civils academy optional is important, because here we excel in this particular component. So where we will actually focus on various other topics. What are those various other topics? We give proper guidance with entire material is provided to you. All these things are actually provided by us. Now let us understand what is anthropology. So what is anthropology? So a lot of students actually say that anthropology is the biological evolution of human beings. To some extent it is correct, but it is not the complete meaning of anthropology, and I wish that anthropology is so simple. So it's not that simple. Then what is anthropology? Anthropology in the scientific sense, it talks about the three aspects of humankind, that is the biological, cultural and physical aspects of humankind. So because it is covering three aspects of humankind, hence it is called as a whole science, whereas the other sciences are called as the part sciences. And the hallmark of anthropology, it is fieldwork tradition. Because it employed this fieldwork tradition, so it is holistic in nature. So this subject is completely holistic in nature. Okay, so anthropology in its etymological sense. So we have two meanings which are associated to anthropology. So one is the etymological meaning, the other one is scientific meaning. We have already covered the scientific meaning, and now let us understand about the etymological meaning. Anthropology is a combination of two words, that is anthropos and logos. So both the two words get originated from the Greek language, where anthropos means man and logos means science of study. The name anthropology originates from the Greek words, where anthropos means human. It's not human, which means man, in its literally context, which means man, and the logos means, which means science of study, or that is knowledge. So if you are combining these two words, then it is like anthropology is a science of study of man. So this particular meaning has continued for several years, but later during 1960 to 1970, during this decade, what has happened? This meaning underwent some changes because of the women movement. So there are some women movements which has happened, women liberation movements which has happened in USA, where the speakers has criticized about the meaning of anthropology, saying that it is a science of study of man, where the 50% of the world population is dominated by the women and is conveniently neglecting about the other half of the gender of the humankind. Then what has happened? The scientist has to revive this meaning of the anthropology, making it gender neutral. Then they have named it as the science of study of humankind. Okay, the word anthropology was first used in English. Initially the word anthropology is coined by Aristotle. The Greek philosopher Aristotle has coined the word anthropology, and it is first used in English language by British philosopher and scientist. His name is William Whewell, okay, in the year 1820. So, and he used some phrase to designate the study of human nature, society, culture. These are all some certain things which are present in our humankind. So, if you are talking about the culture and society, they are so unique to humankind. You won't find culture and society so elaborated in other species which are inhabiting on the planet Earth. Okay, so this comprises of the analysis of the language. You also have language as a separate topic in our paper 1. So, it comes under chapter number 7, where we study, and apart from that we study about the social structure. So, we see the society and culture also present in chapter number 2 of the paper 1 in anthropology. Physical and cultural features and the process of human evolution, इन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में भी हम पढ़ेंगे. Okay, so now let us understand the phases of evolution of anthropology. How did this anthropology has evolved in due course of time? So, anthropology has existed right from BCE. So, it is not a separate discipline how the history and how geography, history. So, it is not actually existing like how the other disciplines has existed. So, initially it was part and parcel of sociology. Later it is because of its research methodology, and it is because the anthropology has apportioned its subject matter into various other topics, like it has also included biology component, and anthropology also studies about the extinct society, primitive societies, where the subject got deviated from the sociology, and eventually anthropology got established in the universities. So, in 1871 the first anthropological chair was found in the University of Oxford, and then if you are talking about 1881, the American Association for the Advancement of Science created a branch for anthropology, and then we see the first anthropology department was created in the year 1884 at the University of California, Berkeley. And then the intellectual underpinnings of the cultural relativism. So, what do you mean by cultural relativism? It is nothing but where we try to relate ourselves to the other culture. For an example, if you see, if you compare European society, if you compare the American society and that to Indian society, so there will be certain things, there are certain institutions which are common in all these particular continents. What are those institutions? Institutions like marriage, family, kinship, religion, culture, society. So, culture and society, they may be different to some extent, but we see there are certain traits which are present in the culture and society, which are even present in our society also. They may be different. The type of marriage practices what we practice in India may be different from the marriage practices which are exercised in America or which are exercised in Europe. They may be different. But you see there are certain things which are common in all these continents, that is what is called as cultural relativism. We will try to relate ourselves to that particular cultural trait which is existing in the other culture. Okay, cultural relativism, these are explained by Franz Boas, and the Franz Boas is considered as father of American anthropology. So, he is considered as the father of American anthropology. So, he has authored some book that is called The Philosophy of Anthropology, which was printed in the year 1899. And then in 1906, American Anthropological Association was formed, and it is because of various other anthropologists who has worked very hard in America, like Levi Henry Morgan, Franz Boas. Because of that, American Anthropological Association is established, and then the first anthropology PhD was given to Alexander Goldenweiser by Columbia University in the year 1922. So, later during 1940s and 1950s, during this decade, what has happened? So, Cold War was existing. So, during this time, so the world has witnessed Second World War, and Second World War has left a lot of scars on some other countries, some countries even in Asia as well as Europe and America also. Later Cold War has prevailed, World War II. Anthropologists cooperated with the governmental organization and participated in policy making. Why they have actually participated in the policy making? Kyunki it is because of the World War. What has happened? So, a lot of people has migrated from one place to another place, and there are so many urban centers which are collapsed. So, there is a lot of displacement which has happened. Earlier anthropologists used to focus on the primitive societies. They used to focus on the primitive societies. They used to focus on the tribal nations where the tribes are located. They tried to understand them. They did some ethnographic work on them. but later they have understood that, so it is a part of anthropology even to study about the urban societies also. Then they started studying about the urban societies, the problems which are faced by them, and then they started making, they are part of this policy making. And then we see during 1960s and 1970s, during this decade, there are emerging concerns about the history of colonialism and in anthropology, as well as under presentation of the individuals of the color in the study. Okay, anthropology is one such discipline. It has outrightly rejected this concept called as racial discrimination. Unfortunately, world has witnessed this racial discrimination right from the ancient times. Just because of the color of the skin, people are actually undermined. So anthropology right from starting, it started, it never supported this racial discrimination. And by 1960s and 1970s, what has happened, lot of colonial masters has given independence to their colonies, and then the new eras has actually emerged. Okay, they also started understanding about the anthropology, and the decolonization and the post-colonialism were prominent, and the anthropological ideas in the 1970s and 1980s, and during 1990s and 2000, themes pertaining to globalization, transitionalism became more popular in the anthropology. So globalization, so right now we consider globalization, what you usually see, the entire world is understood as a simple village, is because of the technological transfer which is happening between, or the technology shared which is between different countries. Okay, we call it as a globalization. So it has opened up a new era in anthropology, where we started studying about the impact of globalization, repercussions of globalization, and what is globalization taking the world to, in which place. And then during in the 21st century, anthropology is continually growing. So is it growing even in the modern times? Yes, it is definitely growing in the modern times. And now right now you see the AI impact also. So now the anthropological applications will even stretch to AI implications, and by any chance if the quantum computing is also successful, then anthropological applications will also study about the impact of quantum computing which is showing on the human beings. Now let us understand about the syllabus for anthropology. So now let us understand about the syllabus of anthropology. My bad, it is not for syllabus of anthropology. Okay, so we have two papers. The scheme of the examination is that we have two papers, paper 1 and paper 2. Okay, paper 1 may, where you see it is a combination of socio-cultural anthropology. You also see archaeological anthropology is one of the major component, and then you see physical anthropology as another major component. Okay, so in paper 2 also आप पढ़ेंगे socio-cultural anthropology in the context of India, and then we also see archaeological anthropology in the context of India, and then you see the tribal anthropology. Paper 1 में in the social cultural anthropology, there we will understand about the thinkers who has contributed for the growth of anthropology, who has contributed for the growth and development of anthropology. उन सारे लोगों के बारे में हम paper 1 में पढ़ेंगे. Okay, now let us understand the syllabus of anthropology. It starts with 1.1, where 1.1 talks about the meaning, scope and development of anthropology, how this anthropology discipline has established. So how it has developed in due course of time. So in just previous slide we have understood how it has actually developed. So that is just a small teaser. Okay, apart from that we will also study how the anthropology got deviated from sociology and how it has got established. And now let us understand about 1.2. 1.2 talks about the relationships with, that is anthropology relationship with the other disciplines. What are those other disciplines? Its relationship with the social sciences, its relationship with the behavioral sciences, its relationship with the life sciences, medical sciences, earth sciences and humanities. So there is some there are some topics where we can connect it to all these subjects. And then 1.3 talks about the main branches of anthropology. So what are those main branches of anthropology? They are socio-cultural anthropology, biological anthropology, or this is what we call it as a physical anthropology. इसी को हम physical anthropology करके बुलाएंगे. And then we see the archaeological anthropology, and finally we see the linguistic anthropology. Why linguistic anthropology is important? Because language is very unique to human beings. Okay. And then we see 1.4. 1.4 talks about the human evolution and emergence of the man. See, once upon a time human being was not even like this. He used to be quadrupedal. So we used to be quadrupedal. So from quadrupedalism, then we have achieved this knuckle walking. Okay, so we have achieved this knuckle walking. And from knuckle walking, what has happened? So we have transformed to bipedalism, and then finally we have transformed to bipedalism. So the journey from quadrupedalism to bipedalism, it is a product of some millions and millions of years. So there are some lakhs and lakhs of years which are there. So where our journey has started with quadrupedalism, वहाँ से यहाँ तक we have actually we have transformed. So what are the species which are actually present in this period? So what has led to this stage? Okay, इन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में 1.4 में हम पढ़ेंगे. And then we will understand about characteristics of primates. So if you understand about the phylogenetic status of human beings, okay, so where we come under this order. So what is this order? Even though we are part of the animal kingdom, but our order is primates. So apart from human beings, so the modern day man is called as Homo sapiens sapien. So we are called as Homo sapiens sapien. Okay, apart from this being Homo sapiens sapien, okay, we have so many other species. Apart from other species, we have some other things. They are like monkeys, gibbons, chimpanzees, gorillas. Okay, all of them, they actually are part of this primates. Okay, we see the prosimians and the anthropoids. So how we are different from them, what is our phylogenetic status, what is our taxonomy. Okay, इन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में हम कहाँ पढ़ेंगे, 1.5 में हम पढ़ेंगे. And then now let us understand about the 1.6, the phylogenetic status, characteristics and the geographical distribution. Okay, did you actually saw that movie that is called as Lucy, which is enacted by Scarlett Johansson? Okay, so in the climax of that movie, where Scarlett Johansson actually meets one primate, where she actually touched her index finger to the finger of that particular primate. Okay, what is that? That is nothing but Australopithecus afarensis, fondly called as Lucy. Okay, she is fondly called as Lucy. Okay, where Austro means south. Austro means south and Pithecus means ape. So they mostly look like ape. Even though they acquired bipedalism, it is not that complete erect posture. It is not like that they have completely acquired erect posture. But yes, they are bipedal in nature, but they are more looking like an ape, okay, rather than being a human being. They more look like ape. So we study about Australopithecus species. So where we have other variations, Australopithecus africanus, Paranthropus aethiopicus, Paranthropus bossai, Paranthropus robustus, Homo habilis. Homo habilis is called as a handyman. Homo rudolfensis, Homo ergaster, Homo erectus, Homo heidelbergensis, Homo rhodesiensis, next Homo neanderthal, Homo sapiens. All these species are right now extinct. They don't exist right now. Okay, after that we will study about Homo sapiens sapiens, that is modern day man. And then 1.7, this particular chapter is misplaced. Okay, this has to be placed prior to 9.1, but somehow they have actually misplaced this. So while we take classes in our app, so हम क्या करेंगे, 1.7 को पहले पढ़ने के बाद we will continue with the physical biology, physical anthropology. It is not like that 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 पढ़ने के बाद हम 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 पढ़ने के बाद 1.7 and उसके बाद second chapter हम वैसे start नहीं करेंगे. Okay, so this particular chapter is misplaced. But what is this 1.7 is talking about? It is talking about the biological basis of the life, that is called as cell. The cell is called as a biological basis of the life. In this particular thing, we will study about what is a gene. We will study about what is happening in the nucleus, and we will also study about the cell division. We will study about the DNA replication. We study about the protein synthesis, which we call it as transcription and translation. All these things are discussed in 1.7. And then 1.8 talks about the principles of prehistoric archaeological chronology. Okay, so this is your archaeological component. Okay, so here also we won't follow the same order. ये पढ़ने के बाद हम पढ़ेंगे archaeological component में क्या क्या topics आएंगे, इन सारे चीज़ों को club करके ही हम पढ़ेंगे with respect to paper 1 as well as paper 2. So 1.A is talking about the different lithic ages which are present. So how the transition of human beings has happened, how eventually culture and society came into existence. To understand this, we study about the Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, Chalcolithic. Okay, so in सारे ages के बारे में पढ़ेंगे. So all these names, whatever you are seeing, Paleo, Meso, Neo and Chalco, they come from Greek word, okay, where lithic means stone. Lithic को हम stone करके बुलाएंगे. Paleo means old, okay, where Meso means middle, and then you see Neo means new, and then we say Chalco. Chalco means copper. Okay, so the transition, so which has started not even 5 lakh BC, okay, it traced back to time immemorial. From time immemorial to we zero down to 10,000 BC and वहाँ से 2500 BC and उसके बाद start होगी your Harappan civilization. So we will study till this part, okay, Chalcolithic age तक हम पढ़ेंगे. And then we will discuss about the second chapter. So second chapter is the nature of culture. So what is the nature of culture? So what is culture? There is no definite meaning to these topics like culture, society, marriage, family, kinship. Like you can't give a universal definition. Why? Because of the diversity which is present in the world, bringing all those particular cultures under one umbrella and deciding that that is a culture, ऐसा meaning कभी नहीं दिया हुआ है. Till date there is no perfect definition. Yes, different anthropologists at different time period they try to attempt to define what is a culture, they try to define what is society, they try to define what is marriage, family, kinship, religion and etc. But there is no universal definition what we need to understand. So first of all, what is a culture? So in simplest form, in a rudimentary and simplest form, if you are trying to define culture, culture is a way of living. Okay, so culture माने क्या है? Probably it is a way of living is given by E.B. Taylor in his book Primitive Culture, which he has authored in the year 1871. So according to E.B. Taylor, culture माने क्या है? Culture or civilization is that complex whole. So this is a keyword. Okay, so complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, art, morals, laws, customs, any capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. So now you can actually see, so here when we are talking about culture, we have also mentioned about society. By this you must be understanding that culture and society, they go hand in hand. Without culture there is no society, and if there is society, definitely there should be some culture. So if you believe that this is the perfect definition of the culture, you are mistaken. Okay, so this is not even the perfect culture, the definition for the culture. There are many more definitions which are there, many more anthropologists who has tried to define culture. उन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे, and then we will understand what are these cultural traits, how this culture has got established. And then 2.2 talks about the nature of society. So is there any universal definition for society? Once again the answer should be no, but yes, different anthropologists at different time periods they try to define about the society. So why society is important? Because when human beings are existing, there should be some order which controls the human beings. So that order can be anything. So it can be a formal or it can be an informal. For an example, if human beings are staying in bands, if they are staying in band माने क्या है? It consists of only few members. Probably it doesn't range from 100 to 200. So for this 100 and 200, for these people, there will not be a written document. So the written document in our country, the highest law of the land, which we call it as constitution. इन लोगों के पास constitution होती है क्या? No, they don't have constitution. Then who is going to direct? Who is going to give them some instructions? Probably the elder person, or probably the person who has good knowledge about like where the resources are there, how they have to defeat, and then how they have to hunt. Usually this type of societies, they follow some simple type of foraging techniques, that is hunting and gathering. Okay, and if there is a country like India, if you are talking about a country like India where diversity is present in every possible manner, so here we won't see an informal leadership. Definitely there should be some formal leadership, and that has to be assisted by some rules and regulations, do's and don'ts, and that is what we call it as constitution, and elaborate bureaucracy should be involved which try to control that particular society. Okay, so according to McLeaver, society is a web of social relationships, and Auguste Comte is considered as a father of sociology. He also tried to define what is a society. He, according to him, society as a social organism possessing a harmonious structure and function. Okay, so there are different techniques who has actually tried to define what is society. So there we have functional school of thought, we have structural school of thought. There are different school of thought who have tried to explain about society. इसको हम while discussing in the class तब हम पढ़ेंगे. And 2.3 talks about marriage. 2.3 talks about marriage. So we all must have witnessed at least one type of marriage in our life. Not probably directly अगर आप witness कर सकते हैं, or otherwise even in the movies or in the web series or in somewhere else you must have actually saw this marriage. Okay, but there are also many other marriage practices, like we see monogamy, which is a prevalent type of marriage practice which is followed by a lot of cultures. But apart from that, we have also polygamy. So in the polygamy, so where the word gamy in the suffix implies about the marriage. Poly means many, okay, acquiring more number of spouses in their particular life, that is called as polygamy. Polygamy is once again divided into polygyny, polyandry, polygynandry. Polygyny means where a man acquires more number of wives or more number of spouses. Okay, where the polyandry means where a wife acquires more number of husbands. Polygynandry, which means the intermixture of these three. Okay, and once again there is also some other divisions. इन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में पढ़ेंगे, and we will also study about the different types of case studies which are present in our world during probably at one particular period of time, or probably they are not existing during this modern time. So marriage, and then 2.4 talks about the family. Okay, so if you are talking about these two institutions, which is first, whether the marriage or family, इन दोनों में what is first? Definitely it is family. Family के बाद ही marriage आई है. So you may not agree to this point of view. But if you are talking, if you are the student of anthropology, so what has happened initially? Human beings are also animals. Constantly they go for hunting. Okay, because they are hunters and gatherers. Okay, like men, women cannot actually work in the same way. So like men, women cannot actually work in the same way, at least at one period of time where she needs to take rest. What is that period of time? When she is pregnant. So during this pregnant period, what used to happen? Wo, she cannot just run like a man, she cannot hunt down, and she cannot gather her food. ये सब नहीं होता था. And during that time someone has to help her, and especially after giving birth to the baby. In the animal kingdom, once the baby is born, immediately the mother actually tries to bring up the baby so that it can survive in the wild. But in the case of human beings, there is a prolonged dependency of the child on the mother. So during that period of time, when during that weaning period of time, definitely mother has to take care of the babies. During that time, okay, when the mother constantly giving her attention to the child, this is the initial family structure which has actually formed. And during this time, if any other male member who came and who tried to support mother and child, this is how the first family has formed. So what is first, whether it is a family or marriage? If you are a student of anthropology or sociology, then your answer should be definitely it is a marriage which is first in nature. Okay, so family के बारे में पढ़ेंगे. So there are different types of family which are present. What are those different types of family? The most common type of family system which you are witnessing in the modern times, that is a nuclear family, and then we see a joint family, extended family. So how these dynamics are keep on changing. So who have actually studied about that, and then there comes various other case studies which are involved in this. And then let us understand about 2.5. 2.5 talks about the kinship. So what is this kinship is all about? Okay, kin means relation. So what is kin? Kin means relation. So the relationship what you imbibe with the others. So what type of relationships? So we have primary relationships, we have secondary, we have tertiary, and why kinship is very important. What is the kinship terminology? इन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में हम kinship topic में हम पढ़ेंगे. And then we see the economic organization. It starts with the third chapter. Economic organization. Why economic organization is important? Here we don't study about the economics. Even in UPSC also you don't study about economics. Economics is different from economy. Okay, UPSC में आप economy पढ़ोगे, and here we will study about economic anthropology. Okay, so when you're talking about the relationships of human beings, it's not always about profit making. देयर आर मेनी मोर थिंग्स विच आर इन्वॉल्व. वो सब क्या है, why it is so important, what are the different types of economic exchanges which happens throughout the world. इन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे in chapter number 3. And then comes the chapter number 4, that is political organization, different types of polities and who is governed by whom, why it is important. इन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में political organization में पढ़ेंगे. So when society is existing, there should be some order. That order should be capable enough of controlling or bringing some social order in that particular society. So then comes the social organization. And next we will understand about the religion. Okay, so the most common form of religion in our country, that is Hinduism. Apart from that, the constitution recognizes two types of minorities. One is the religious minority, the other are the linguistic minorities. So यहाँ हम पढ़ेंगे रिलीजन के बारे में. वी डोंट स्टडी अबाउट हिंदुइज्म, क्रिश्चियनिटी, इस्लाम, सिखिज्म, इन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में हम नहीं पढ़ेंगे. देर आर other types of religion like the animism, animatism, nature worship, fetishism, totemism, how these things actually came into existence, what are the various theories which are explaining, anthropologists who has contributed, theories explaining how they have originated. इन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में हम religion topic में हम पढ़ेंगे. And then comes the sixth, the most important chapter in the entire anthropology. When you are talking with paper number 1 and 2, that is anthropological theories. Anthropological theories try to explain you, what are they trying to explain you, how this particular thing that is called as culture and then society has evolved in due course of time. And the thing is, who has contributed for the development of anthropology, what is the approach they have adopted and how they have differentiated from the other theories which are existing during that period of time, what they have proposed and how the other people have criticized about it. So इन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में हम कहाँ cover करेंगे, chapter number 6 में हम cover करेंगे. And then comes 7th chapter, that is called as culture, language and communication. So while explaining about the topics which are present in paper 1 and paper 2, we understood that language is so unique to human beings. So if you are talking about other species, no other species in the world, they communicate each other with the elaborate language. Okay, so here we will try to understand what are the components which are present in the language and the hypothesis, which part of the brain is responsible for this language, which is supporting this language. While I am speaking, I am constantly doing this hand gestures while I am actually walking also. So which part of the brain is actually coordinating, what are the hypotheses. Okay, इन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में, verbal and non-verbal communication, इन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में हम कहाँ पढ़ेंगे, 7th chapter में हम पढ़ेंगे. And then comes the 8th, once again one of the important topic, that is the research methods in anthropology. Why research methods in anthropology are so important? Because how this discipline has actually came into existence. While explaining about the etymological meaning of anthropology and scientific meaning of anthropology, I said that fieldwork tradition is hallmark of anthropology. And apart from that, we have also some other perspective like hemiconductic perspective, systems and processes. We will try to understand about all these components in the chapter number 8, what are the different types of techniques anthropology has adopted to establish this subject as a whole. And then comes 9.1. So from here, paper 1 में your physical anthropology starts. What is this paper 9.1 is talking about? It is talking about human genetics. While taking classes, हम क्या करेंगे? So prior to 9.1, we will start with 1.7. Okay, 1.7 पढ़ने के बाद we will start with 9.1. It is not like that 1.7 हम first chapter में पढ़ने के बाद and बाद में till 8th chapter पढ़ने के बाद we will not start with 9.1. 9.1 पहले हम 1.7 से start करेंगे. It's talking about human genetics. So whatever you are studying in physical anthropology, it all zeroes down to one component. So if you consider this as a cell, cell में आपको मिलेगी nucleus. Okay, the things which are present in the nucleus, what are they actually present? That is chromosomes. Okay, chromosomes में आपको genes present होंगे. इस चीज़ों के बारे में ही हम पढ़ेंगे. We will only study about those things which are present inside the nucleus. Okay, so genes are part of the chromosomes. So why genes play a very important role. human genetics, that is the study of inheritance as it occurs in the human beings. So, how you are inheriting these traits? What are those traits? That is the physical traits, phenotypic and genotypic. Phenotypic means whatever you are seeing. Immediately after seeing a person, you will identify whether he is tall or short, what is his skin color, what is his hair texture. Okay, इन सारी चीज़ों के बारे में आप पढ़ोगे. So why you are inheriting all these things? It is because of your ancestry. It's because of your paternal maternal side. ओके, सो डीएनए के बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे, आरएनए के बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे, ओके, प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस के बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे. सो इस चैप्टर में ऑफ कोर्स वी डोंट स्टडी अबाउट ऑल दिस थिंग्स, वी कॉन्सेंट्रेट ऑन द ह्यूमन जेनेटिक्स. And 9.2 talks about the Mendelian genetics. So Gregor Mendel, he has played a very important role making us understand about the inheritance laws. Okay, so Mendelian genetics के बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे. So which talks about how the progenies have inherited. So here we use punnet charts to the greater extent. He has did some experiments on the pea plants with their color, with their shape and etc. Okay, so we will try to understand about the Mendelian genetics. And 9.3 talks about the concept of genetic polymorphism and selection. So poly means many, morphism means changes. Okay, so many changes, and it also talks about the natural selection, how the natural selections play a important role. And then we study about 9.4 chromosomes, chromosomal aberrations. Aberrations means errors. Okay, while these chromosomes, when they are separating, that is during the cell division, that is during meiosis phase. Okay, so during this phase what will happen? So because of the various factors, what are those various factors? Probably it is because of the malnutrition what the mother is facing, or it is because of the inheritance, or it is because of the radiation. There are several factors which are involved making some aberrations in this chromosomal non-disjunction. So what are the diseases which are associated to it? So what are those congenital diseases? Okay, where the trisomy actually occurs, trisomy or monosomy. Okay, इन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में 9.4 चैप्टर में ही हम कवर करेंगे. And 9.5 talks about the race and racism. So there is no concept called as race and racism right now. Okay, this is an outdated chapter, outdated topic I mean to say, but yet there is lot of variation which is present. Even though human beings are inhabiting throughout the world, okay, starting from North America to Australia, even Antarctica also, as a such human beings can't exist there. There is some research work which is going, so different scientists from different parts of the world, they go and stay in Antarctica. Again, humans are capable enough of inhabiting in all these diverse environments. They are inhabiting in tundra, they are inhabiting in desert conditions, and they are inhabiting in the tropical forest, they are inhabiting in the evergreen forest. But you see lot of variation which is present. So 99% of the DNA is similar in all the human beings inhabiting in the various parts of the world, but yet we see 1% variation. What is the reason behind this 1% variation? It is because of the ancestry. Okay, it is because of the mating selection, what makes us so different from each other. So these things we will try to understand in the race and racism topic. And 9.6 talks about the age, sex and population variation as a genetic markers. What are those genetic markers? We have so many genetic markers. I will just use only one thing, that is ABO blood group. Okay, A blood group hai, B blood group hai, and then we see O. Okay, so these are all some genetic markers. And then we see some diseases which are prevalent in only that part of the continent, why they are not prevalent in the other part of the continent. इन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में हम 9.6 में हम पढ़ेंगे. And then comes 9.7. It talks about the concepts and methods of ecological anthropology. What do you mean by ecological anthropology? Here we study about hypothermia, hyperthermia, why the ecology is playing an important role. Right now I am wearing this dress. Imagine that if I am actually taking this class somewhere in Greenland, probably I won't be wearing this type of dress. If I wear this dress, then I will become kulfi. So obviously I will wear some warm clothes. Okay, I will wear those woolen clothes which will keep me warm. Okay, so is ecology playing an important role? Definitely ecology plays a important role. It is because of the ecology we eat certain type of food. Our practices are somewhere how related to the ecology, and then okay, so we eat certain type of food, we wear certain type of clothes, so geography plays an extreme role, and it is because of the ecology, ecological anthropology is existing. And then we see 9.8 talks about the epidemiological anthropology, the disease causing agents, pathogens के बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे, the different types of pathogens creating some diseases. Okay, so 9.8 talks about that. And then comes the 10th chapter, that is the concept of human growth and development when you are in the womb of your mother. So this particular topic starts from the place where you are in the womb of the mother and then how you are developed. Okay, this talks about the various stages which are involved in this, that is called as the concept of human growth and development. And 11.1, 11.2, 11.3, the 11th chapter talks about 11.1 talks about the relevance of menarche. What do you mean by menarche? The onset of puberty. Okay, menarche and menopause. So in the case of females, what will happen? She will hit her puberty, and then after some period of time where she will not be menstruating anymore, that is called as the cessation of menstruation is called as menopause. And the other bio events which are related like the fertility patterns, fecundity, okay, इन सारे चीज़ों के बारे में हम 11.1 में पढ़ेंगे. And 11.2 talks about the demographic theories. What are those demographic theories? Biological, social and cultural theories which are impacting the lifestyle of human beings. 11.3 talks about biological and socio-ecological factors influencing fecundity, fertility, natality and mortality. Okay, so this is 11th chapter is all for you. And finally, our paper number 1 stops with this particular chapter. This is called as the applications of anthropology. What do you mean by applications of anthropology? For an example, if you are sitting in a chair, that is called as ergonomics, whether it is comfortable to you or not. Okay, so the type of dresses, why this particular dress is suiting you. If you go to a shopping mall where you will see XS, S, M, L, XL, XXL and so on, why you are preferring that type of dresses? Because they take a sample survey, based on that sample survey, that's how the dresses designs are done. And then it is also the applications of anthropology where you can see in sports, where you can see in the defense equipments, in the design of the defense equipments, in the design of the medical equipments and etc. These are all some applications of anthropology. By this paper 1 is completed. Okay, so in order to understand how paper 2 is important, what is this paper 2 is all about, we will get back to you in the end session. Till then, take care and bye bye.